Good afternoon, children. Good afternoon. Why no response?
Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon. I think we do have only very few number of participants. Maybe after your morning exam, your revision tests are already, I think it's already commenced, isn't it? So maybe after the revision test, after 2 classes, you're totally exhausted. Is it because of that? The number of participants are very less. I think many of them are joining. Okay. So the children need not wait for the last moment to join. Okay. So please join a few minutes in the sense 1 or 2 minutes before the time so that it will be more easy. Okay. See, as I find the number of participants less, I don't feel like beginning. Okay. So before we begin, let me ask you, how was your exam? How was your chemistry exam? The last exam was chemistry, isn't it? So how was it?
Easy.
It was easy. Easy. So you expected, I think, a more tough paper and you got an easy one. Is that what happened? Anyway,
Yes.
it was easy. Okay. So you were able to answer all the questions maybe. Or maybe there were doubts in 1 or 2 questions. Anyway, let me get the answer sheets with me. And after that, we'll discuss on all the errors that you have made and all. Okay. And one more thing, let me remind you, children, before we begin the class, we do have 4 revision tests on chemistry. I talk about chemistry. 4 revision tests. The dates are on, the first one is on the 16th. The next one is on 22nd. And then we have another one on 30th and last one is on 6th. Okay, so we do have 4 revision tests and I have excluded those 4 chapters which we have already, which you have already written for the second term. And we'll be concentrating on the remaining chapters. Lesson number 1, 2, 6 and 7 were already there for your second terminal exam. So those chapters are not included among these revision chapters. Okay, so only the remaining chapters are included. So I want my children to learn all these topics thoroughly. And I've come to know that many of you are finding it very difficult to learn chemistry in the sense that many of you don't have a proper idea about how to learn, what to learn, and maybe because of various reasons. Okay, and I've contacted some of them personally. And if you have any personal doubts to clarify, my dear children, please don't hesitate to make a call to me. Okay, see, I'm always happy to listen to you. So if you have any doubts or if you have any problems regarding the subject, I want you to speak to me. Okay, only then I'll be able to help you in this present situation. I cannot call you. I'm not able to meet you. So the only way that you have to do or to solve this problem is to make a call to the teacher, to the respective teacher. Especially I'm talking about chemistry because I find that many of them are too much worried about chemistry. Okay, so need not worry about what you have learned earlier or whatever it is. Please do contact if you're finding it too difficult to learn the subject. Okay, so I'll help you with small tips so that will help you to gain good marks for the coming exam. Okay, and even during the revision time, the number of chapters that are given to you will be very less. Okay, so I think on the 16th, I've given only 1 chapter which we did not write a test paper on, and that is organic chemistry. Okay, so learn the chapter thoroughly. Don't keep it for the previous night. You have to learn it in advance. Find extra time to learn the subject because you're finding it difficult to score marks in it. Not all, but a few. So because of that, please do find extra time to learn this subject. You have to write and learn the equations, the structure, the formula, the nomenclature, all these. You have to practice very well. Okay, in between, if you find any difficulty in understanding anything, please do contact me. Okay, and again, the coming days, as the revision topics are given, my dear children, whoever has this question banks with them, please go through the question banks. And that will help you to understand the pattern of questions. Okay, if you have a question bank, but you need not go for purchasing a new one for this purpose. If you have your seniors question banks, that will be enough and more. Okay, just go through so that you will be able to understand the pattern of questions. Okay, so I want you to help you, but the cooperation from your part is very important. Okay, so I think the things are clear to you. So prepare very well and sincerely you have to write your test paper. Okay. Now we shall move on to the last chapter. That means the last and the final chapter that we have to learn on this textbook of 10th grade chemistry. Okay, and the chapter is mole concept and stoichiometry. No, mole concept and stoichiometry. Mole concept, stoichiometry, certain terms which you are not at all familiar with. Before I begin, let me tell you, children, mole is not an abbreviation of molecule. Okay, it is not an abbreviation of molecule. It is simply a unit which I'll tell you in detail after covering the syllabus, because the whole chapter is not included in your syllabus. I mean, in the latest revised syllabus, many portions are deducted. Okay, a lot of portions are deducted, and we do have only a small topic to cover on this chapter. The mole concept even is now excluded. Okay, so we'll begin with a very small topic which is very simple and easy for you to understand. That's only there for the present syllabus. But after the completion of the prescribed syllabus, I'll give you an idea about the mole concept, because without giving you an idea about the mole concept, the chapter will be incomplete and I won't be satisfied, because this is something which is going to help you in your higher classes too much. Okay, so leaving out this topic or letting you write your board exam without understanding this topic is something which I feel so bad about. So I'll give you an idea after covering up our prescribed portions. Okay, so in this chapter we do have 4 different sections: section A, B, C, and D. Section A includes gas laws. Gas laws, like we have already learned Boyle's law, Charles's law. Okay, in addition to that, in addition to these 2 laws, there are also 2 more laws which are mentioned in your section A of this chapter. They are Avogadro's law and Gay-Lussac's law. At least be familiar with these terms. Actually, these were some of the important things that you were supposed to learn. But now in the present situation, you are lucky. In a way, you can say you're lucky, but in another way, I say that you're unlucky, that you're not able to learn all these, isn't it? Okay, so we have 2 more gas laws to learn actually there. They are Avogadro's law and Gay-Lussac's law. So section A as a whole is not included in the present or the latest reduced syllabus. Okay, no, need not worry about section A. Okay, now moving on to section B. In section B, you have actually relative atomic mass, definition of relative atomic mass. Listen to me very carefully, children. Relative atomic mass definition is given to you in a box. We learned that definition. It's a definition which you have already learned in your lower classes. Okay, and in section B itself, you have relative molecular mass given in next box. I hope you are moving through the pages as I say. Okay, so relative molecular mass is also given in a box. The definition is given there. We have already learned the definition of relative molecular mass. That also we learned. Okay, and again in that section, in section B, there is the concept of mole, which I told you I'll be giving you an idea after the completion of portions. That is not included in the present syllabus. Now, again, there is again a small topic mentioned about vapor density. Vapor density and relative molecular mass. We learned that small topic. Okay, and the main topic meant for you to learn according to the latest reduced syllabus on this chapter is section C. Okay, section C is the only one which is meant for you to learn, and section D as a whole is also excluded. That is also not there. I hope you got a clear picture about the portions that we have to learn. Is it not, children? Okay, so section C is what you have to concentrate on. To learn section C, we have to take a bit of portions from section B. That is what I said: relative atomic mass, relative molecular mass, vapor density relation with relative molecular mass, and all such small, simple points we have to borrow from section B. Okay, to learn section C as a whole according to the syllabus. I hope the things are clear to you. Okay, and another thing is that we have to practice a lot on these problems that you have for the exam, for the according to the syllabus, because as the portions are cut shortened, you can expect a lot of questions in different ways from this section. Okay, so I think we shall move on. Okay, so first we'll begin with relative atomic mass. Relative atomic mass. Do anyone remember what is relative atomic mass? Relative atomic mass. Relative atomic mass. We have learned already atomic numbers of the first 20 elements in our lower classes, isn't it? Along with that, we also have learned their mass numbers, isn't it? As we have learned their mass numbers, you might have noticed that there were certain elements with their mass numbers holding decimals, isn't it? Decimals, which means that, but we have learned their mass numbers as whole numbers, isn't it? By rounding up all those decimal values, we have learned the mass numbers as whole numbers. And I hope, I believe that you are all thorough with the atomic numbers and mass numbers of the first 20 elements. Okay, now what does this word relative atomic mass denote? Okay, the atomic mass of an element once when compared with a standard unit, we can call it as relative atomic mass. The word relative, in relation to a standard unit, when you compare something, you can say that it is relative atomic mass. Have you followed? Atomic mass of an element when compared with a standard unit. Okay, so what is the standard unit that you have taken? What was the standard unit? Do you remember what was the standard unit? Do you remember? Do anyone remember the definition? Okay, whatever it is. See, what was the standard unit? An atom of carbon-12. An atom of carbon-12, an isotope of carbon-12. An atom of carbon-12 was considered as an atom to compare the masses of the other atoms of other elements. Okay, but not the whole of carbon-12 atom. 1/12. 1/12 of an atom of carbon-12. 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12 was considered as the standard unit. I hope you remember this. 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12. 1/12 of the mass of an atom 12 was, 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12 was considered as a standard unit to compare the atomic mass of the other element. Okay, and now what is the mass of an atom of carbon-12? You already know that it is 12 grams, so 12 AMU, isn't it? So let us write that 12 AMU or 12 grams. 1/12 of this 12. What is it equal to? It's equal to 1. 1/12 of 12 is 1. So this is considered as the standard unit to compare the mass of atoms of other elements. Have you followed? So we are going to compare the mass of the atoms of other elements with this standard unit, and that's why we are using the term relative atomic mass. Okay, now what is the definition of relative atomic mass? How many times an atom of any other element is heavier than the standard unit? That number is known as the relative atomic mass of that element. Okay? For example, an atom of sodium has atomic mass 23. Okay, atomic mass 23. Or otherwise, you can say that an atom of sodium is 23 times heavier than the standard unit. What is the standard unit? It's 1. Standard unit is 1, isn't it? So, compared to the standard unit, atomic mass of sodium is 23 times more, isn't it? So, you can say that 23 is the relative atomic mass of sodium. Okay, so how do you define relative atomic mass? It is the number of times an atom of an element is heavier than 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12. That means the standard unit. Okay, so how do we define relative atomic mass? It is the number of times. How many times? The number of times an atom of an element is heavier than 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12. That is what you call as the relative atomic mass of an atom of an element. Have you followed? I think this is clear to all of you. Okay, now what about relative molecular mass? Relative molecular mass. It is nothing, it's very simple, as we have already learned relative atomic mass, you can easily explain what is relative molecular mass also. Relative molecular, for relative molecular mass also, I didn't get you. Someone is asking a doubt. I didn't get. Asking about some equation or something? In the box, are you asking, my dear children? If you have any doubts to ask me, please do open your microphone. I'm so happy to listen to your sound. Okay, relative atomic, there is an equation given in the box. Okay, yes. Whenever you use the term relative, it's always, it shows or it denotes the ratio. The mass of an atom of an element divided by 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12. Okay, it shows the ratio between the mass of an atom of an element and the standard unit. That is why they have given it in the form of an equation. The relative atomic mass is equal to mass of an atom of an element divided by the standard unit, the one with which you are comparing the mass of the atom. Okay, so you have to learn that box with that relation. I hope it is clear. Now, moving on to relative molecular mass. So we know that one atom of carbon makes a molecule of carbon too, which means carbon is monoatomic. Monoatomic, isn't it? So you can compare relative molecular mass or mass of molecule of any element or a compound can also be compared with the same standard unit. Okay, so how can you explain relative molecular mass? How can you explain relative molecular mass? I hope relative atomic mass is clear to everyone. What is relative molecular mass? It is again, for example, I can write a molecule of water weighs how many grams? Or in terms of AMU, atomic mass unit, you can say that it weighs 18 grams or 18 AMU. Isn't it? 18 AMU. So actually you can compare, or this is actually relative molecular mass. That means comparing this mass is compared with the standard unit. With the standard unit. What is the standard unit? 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12 or a molecule of carbon-12 means the same because one atom makes the molecule. Have you followed? So how can you explain relative molecular mass? Relative molecular mass of an element or a compound is again the number of times one molecule of that substance is heavier than 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12. Have you followed? So I hope this is clear to everyone. The same definition, the only difference is that instead of atom of that element, here we are using molecule of that element or a compound. Molecule may be of an element or a compound, isn't it? So relative molecular mass of an element or a compound is defined as the number of times one molecule of an element or a compound is heavier than 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon-12. Okay, so here we are using the term relative just because we are comparing the mass with the standard unit, which is 1/12 the mass of an atom of carbon-12. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. The standard unit is always equal to 1. Okay, it's clear to all of you. Now, the next thing that you have to learn is about the calculation. It's something that you have already learned. You know how to calculate the relative molecular mass. How do we calculate relative molecular mass? I hope you are ready with your notebooks too. If you're not ready, please get it quickly. Your notebooks should also be there with you. Okay? So we are going to work out, we are going to calculate the relative molecular mass of a few compounds. And after that, I shall give you homework on a few compounds. Okay, to calculate the relative molecular mass, because I think it's very simple. You have already learned it. But some of you might have forgotten. For them, we'll do 1 or 2 exercises. I mean 1 or 2 problems. Okay, so we have to calculate the relative molecular mass of ammonium sulfate. Ammonium sulfate. Please do take it down quickly, children. I hope you have already taken it down. You can start doing. Okay, ammonium sulfate. If anyone has any doubt, you can see the board. Ammonium sulfate. Okay, sometimes they may ask you to calculate the relative molecular mass just by giving the name of the compound. So you must be able to write the formula correctly. Okay. So once if you're asked to calculate the relative molecular mass, what should be the first thing? You must know or you must calculate the number of atoms of each element present in this compound. Number of atoms of each element present in this compound. Okay. So first let us see. Let's have a look and identify how many atoms of each element are present in this compound. This compound consists of 2 atoms of nitrogen because this 2 is common. Okay, it's written outside the bracket, so this 2 is common for both nitrogen and hydrogen. So there are 2 atoms of nitrogen. How many atoms of hydrogen are there? 8. 4 into 2, 8 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of sulfur, and 4 atoms of oxygen. So how do we calculate? To calculate the relative molecular mass, the first thing that you have to do is to write its atomic mass. Write the atomic mass of the first element, multiply it with the number of atoms. Okay? So 14 is the atomic mass of nitrogen. Atomic mass of nitrogen is 14. There are 2 atoms of nitrogen. So into 2 plus. Okay, what is the mass of an atom of hydrogen? 1. An atom of hydrogen is 1. So for this, you have to learn, or you have to be thorough with the mass numbers of the first 20 elements, my dear children. Don't forget. 1 into how many atoms? 8 atoms of hydrogen plus mass of sulfur is 32 plus mass of an atom of oxygen is 16. So 16, how many atoms? 4 atoms. Have you followed? See, I have seen children doing all these steps correctly, but the final addition goes wrong and you will not get even a half mark. If it is a 1 mark question, even if the first step is correctly written, and if your final answer is wrong, my dear children, you won't get any marks in case of chemistry. So you have to be very careful. It's simple addition and multiplication, isn't it? So don't make any mistakes. Got it? The only thing is that you must be able to write it with the number of atoms correctly. That's the only thing. Okay, and do the calculation properly. Once when you calculate it, what do you get as the answer? Hope you have written your answers. Dear children, I want a response from you. Yes, 132. Very good. 132 AMU. Don't forget to write the unit. If it's a relative atomic mass, if you're asked to calculate the relative atomic, here it is relative molecular mass, isn't it? The molecule of a compound, yes. You have to write its unit as AMU, atomic mass unit, or simply U. Okay, that is the latest method of writing the unit, small u. Or you have to write AMU, atomic mass unit. Okay. Now, I hope it's clear to everyone. Moving on to the second one. I think we shall move with all these type of problems quickly. It's just for you to recall. Copper sulfate with 5 molecules of water of crystallization. Copper sulfate with 5 molecules of water of crystallization. For this, you should know what is the atomic mass of copper. See, other than the first 20 elements, if any other elements are present in the given molecule, it will be mentioned. I mean, they'll be giving you their atomic mass, so you don't have to worry. Okay, they'll give you the atomic mass of those higher elements if present in the compound. Okay, so now here it is copper. Copper, its atomic mass is 63.5. 63.5. So we shall do the calculation. 63.5. How many atoms? Only 1 atom. So plus sulfur. How many atoms? Only 1 atom, and its mass is 32. 32 plus oxygen, 16. Its atomic mass is 16. There are 4 atoms, so into 4 plus. Just have a look here, children. If you find these kind of water of crystallization molecules along with, if you find water of crystallization molecules like this, what is to be done? First, calculate the mass of, or relative molecular mass of 1 molecule of water. 1 molecule of water. Okay, you can easily keep it in your mind, and that is always 18. Just see, H2O, isn't it? 1 into 2. 1 is the mass of 1 atom of hydrogen. 2 atoms of hydrogen are present here. So into 2 plus 16, which gives you 18 AMU. So 1 molecule of water is always 18 AMU. Okay, now, only thing that you have to do, multiply it with the number of water molecules. Okay, how many water of crystallization molecules are present? Here there are 5. So just multiply it with 5. So 18 into 5. That's enough. Okay, to avoid further confusion, this would be more easy. Okay, so what can you do? Your 18 is the mass of one molecule of water into, there are 5 molecules of water, so into 5. And you can find out what is the correct answer. And you will be getting the answer after calculation. See, I'm not waiting. Okay, very good, very good. Many of you got the answer by the time. 249.5 AMU. 249.5 AMU. So I hope you have understood how to calculate the relative molecular mass. Okay, now again, one more molecule with water crystallization I'll do. Okay, and I'll give you a few compounds as homework. Okay, the rest you can do as homework. One more molecule. I'll tell you so that you can start doing Na2 as sodium sulfate with 10 molecules of water crystallization. Sodium sulfate with 10 molecules of water crystallization. Start doing. Sodium sulfate, Na2SO4. The formula is another important thing. Otherwise, everything will go wrong. Na2SO4, 10H2O. Have we followed? So now, how do you calculate the relative molecular mass, children? 23 is the mass number of sodium into 2, because 2 atoms, plus 32 plus 16 into 4 plus, what should be done here? 1 molecule of water weighs 18 grams or 18 AMU. 18 into how many molecules are there? 10. 10 molecules. Have we followed? Just calculate. And the next step should be, children, always make it short. 42 plus 32 plus 64 plus 180. Just make it like that and then go for the next step. Okay. And again, I remind you, there is no mark designed for step in the case of calculating relative molecular mass. So final answer should be correct. Okay. Okay. Some of you got the answer. 322 AMU. 322 AMU. Okay, don't forget about the unit. Okay, so you know how to calculate the relative molecular mass. Okay, now I shall give you a homework. Please take page number 83. Page number 83. All of you, please take page number 83. 83. Hope you have taken it. Exercise 5B. Exercise 5B. Fourth question. Fourth question. Calculate the relative molecular mass. Have you seen? In that, already we have done C. C we have done. Copper sulfate 5H2O. We have done. You need not do that. Again, we also have done D. C and D. We have already done. The remaining ones, page number 83. Page number 83. Exercise 5B. Question number 4. Okay? And that you have to do A, B, E, F, and G. 2 of them we have already done right now. C and G we did. So you need not do those 2, okay, because it's already there in your notebook now. The remaining ones I want you to do. Okay, so there you may find platinum and chromium. So you can just note down, yes, note down the atomic mass of platinum. Platinum. Atomic mass of platinum is 195 AMU. 195. 195. And that of chromium. Okay? Chromium is 52 AMU. 52 AMU. Okay? So I hope you will be able to do it. Alright, and I'll send you the answers. So please complete all these work. Okay. Now we have to see the next topic. Very simple topic which you already have learned. And that is calculating percentage composition. Calculating percentage composition. Okay. So in between, vapor density and all are already there under section B. Need not worry. I'll talk about all those things. Here, I'm simply just jumping over to section C with percentage composition because I think it will be easy as a follow-up of calculating relative molecular mass. Okay. So tell me, what is percentage composition? What do you understand by the term percentage composition? Do you have any idea? Hope you also know this one, isn't it? What do you understand by percentage composition, children? Have you learned it? I need response and only then I'll begin. Yes, okay. You have learned percentage composition. So how do you identify or how do you calculate the percentage of a particular element present in a given compound? How do you calculate the percentage of a percentage composition or percentage by mass? Yes. Okay. Some of them are giving me the answers. So to calculate the percentage by mass or percentage by weight of a particular element present in a given compound, we have already learned a simple equation, that is, you have to write the total mass of that particular element whose percentage is to be calculated divided by, yes, the total mass of that compound into 100. Isn't it? So please take page number 86. Take page number 86. In page number 86, you might have seen a definition for percentage composition. Please do underline that. Percentage composition of a compound is a percentage by weight of each element present in it. Percentage by weight of each element present in it. Okay? So to calculate that, there is an equation given. Please do keep that equation in a box. Percentage of an element present in a given compound is equal to mass of the element, total mass of the element divided by relative molecular mass of the compound. Okay, into 100. Mass of the element present in the given compound divided by relative molecular mass, or you can say that the total mass. You can simply say that the total mass of the compound into 100. Total mass of the compound into 100, or relative molecular mass of the compound into 100. Okay, it's very simple. This is how we calculate the percentage of a particular subject, isn't it? Or also you can calculate the percentage of, the total percentage of your marks is also calculated. You're very, you know well to calculate percentage, isn't it? Percentage of your marks, total marks of a particular subject, all these you normally calculate. So that is the same thing that you have here. To calculate the percentage composition or percentage by weight. Okay, to what extent is a particular element present in a given compound? To calculate that, you have to first find out what is the total mass of that element in the given compound divided by total molecular mass of that compound into 100. Okay, we shall do one or two examples. Now I want you to keep your textbook closed. Keep your textbook closed and let your notebooks be opened. Okay, otherwise you may have a tendency to open the book and then see what is happening there or what is the next step and all. So please do keep your textbooks closed. Okay, now I'll give you a compound. The compound is sodium carbonate, Na2CO3. Na2CO3. Okay, to calculate, you're asked to calculate the percentage composition. Okay, calculate the percentage composition of this compound. Maybe that is a given question. Calculate the percentage composition of this compound. So what will you answer? How will you write the answer? Percentage composition of this compound means you are supposed to calculate the percentage composition of each and every element present in this compound. Have you followed? Each and every element present in this compound. Otherwise, simply they may mention calculate the percentage composition of sodium in this compound. Okay? Or calculate the percentage of carbon present in this compound. The question may be like that. Or separately they may ask you. Okay? Otherwise, as a whole, you may be asked to calculate the total percentage composition of each and every element present in this given compound. So step by step, you have to calculate them separately. Okay? And mention them separately. Okay? So here, this is the first question given to you. So here we shall try to calculate the percentage composition or percentage by weight of oxygen in this compound. Okay, oxygen in this compound. Okay, so you can start doing. What is the first thing that you have to do? What is the first step? The first step is to calculate the total mass, isn't it? Relative molecular mass of this compound is to be calculated first. Okay, so how will you write the relative molecular mass? How will you calculate, children? 23 into 2 plus 12 plus 16 into 3. Isn't it? So what is your answer? You get the answer as 106. Isn't it? You get it as 146 plus 12 plus 16 into 3, 48. Isn't it? So here you will be getting 106 AMU. 106 AMU. This is just molecular mass of this compound. And you have to calculate what percentage of oxygen is present in this compound. Okay, so what is the next step? The next step is to write the total mass of oxygen atoms. How many oxygen atoms are there? 3 oxygen atoms are there, and each oxygen atom weighs 16. So 16 into 3 divided by 106 into 100. Percentage of oxygen. Okay, percentage composition of oxygen in sodium carbonate. It is 16 into 3 divided by 106 into 100. So you can write it as 48 followed by 2 zeros of 4,800 divided by 106. Have you followed? I know that division, multiplication, addition, subtraction are all very easy for you people and you will handle it very well. So I don't have to go for all those steps. I just wanted to tell you only how the method is. The remaining calculation part can be done by yourself, taking your own time. But my dear children, they don't take a lot of time in your, while writing your exam. Okay. So for practice, as you practice this, you can take your own time and do. So what is the answer? Has anyone calculated and got the answer? The answer is 45.3%. Or first you can write it as, yes, 45 point, yes, there will be decimal values, yes. 45.3 or 45.28 is the answer that some of you have got. You can just round it and write it as 45.3 grams of oxygen will be present in the total, present in this compound, or in terms of percentage, you can write it as 45.3% of oxygen. It should be mentioned clearly. Have you followed? Here the unit is not mentioned. The unit is not AMU. Okay, that you have to keep in your mind. The percentages are. Okay, first you can write in terms of grams and then write that these many percentage. Okay, so similarly you can calculate the percentage of each and every element present in this compound. Have you followed? Now I shall give you one more type of question that can be asked based on this. Na2CO3, 10H2O. See, if this is the compound, Na2CO3, 10H2O. This is the compound given to you. You have to calculate the percentage composition of water of crystallization in this compound. What percentage of water molecules are present in this compound? So what will you do? The same procedure. But here, what should be done, children? Here we have to make a slight change. The molecular formula has been changed now, so the relative molecular mass also will vary. That is, here you have to add up this one also. I've used the same compound, that's what I'm using the same equation. That is 18 into 10, 180, isn't it? So you will be getting the answer as 286 AMU. So this is the total molecular mass of this compound. Now, from this, you have to calculate what percentage of water of crystallization will be present in this compound. So what should be done? What can we do, children? 18. So you can write percentage of water of crystallization. Percentage of water of crystallization. Okay, how much will it be? 18 into 10 is 180 divided by 286 into 100. Followed. So you can calculate and find the answer is approximately 62.9 grams of water. You can write it as 62.9 grams of water. Okay, otherwise percentage, in terms of percentage you can write 62.9% of water crystallization will be present in this compound. Okay, I hope you are doing all these calculations with me. Maybe here you will take a bit time. So please do practice in solving this part easily and more quickly. Find out simple tips. Maybe I don't have to tell you any more tips related to maths because I know that you're very brilliant in working out problems in maths. Okay, so I hope you'll be able to get the answer like this. So whatever the question be, this is the pattern of finding the percentage composition. Okay, now I'm going to give you a very simple question. Okay, very simple question. Okay, now I'll give you a clue also. Okay, I'll be giving you a clue, but the thing is, I don't want you to open the textbook and find anything. Okay, I'll give you the question. I want you to write down the question. Please write it down quickly as I dictate. Okay? Hope you are all ready. Ready to take down the question? Yes or no, children? Are you ready?
Yes, miss.
Okay, ready. Okay, write it down quickly. A given sample has 30%. A given sample has 30% ethyl alcohol by mass. A given sample has 30% ethyl alcohol by mass. Okay? Comma, the rest being water. The rest being water. The question is already given there, worked out in your textbook, but still I'm dictating this for you because I don't want you to open your textbook to find the answer for this one. Okay, so 30% ethyl alcohol by mass, comma, the rest being water. Full stop. Determine the percentage of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in the given sample. Determine the percentage of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in the given sample. Have you written the question? Hope you all got it. A given sample has 30% ethyl alcohol by mass, the rest being water. Okay, so determine the percentage of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in the given sample. Okay, I'll give you a clue. I'm not going to work it out because it's almost time. So I'll just give you a clue and I want you to do the problem yourself without the help of your textbook. Okay, now please listen to me, children. In the question, they have said 2 points. 30% of ethyl alcohol. You know by now how to write the formula of ethyl alcohol, isn't it? It's C2H5OH. 30% of ethyl alcohol. It's a sample given, okay? A sample of a substance consists of 30% of ethyl alcohol. Okay, maybe a person who has taken alcohol to drink. 30% is alcohol. Now, what about the rest? To make it 100, the rest being water. Please keep that in your mind. Rest being water. Okay, so from this, what is clear? 70% is water. Okay, 70% is water. So here you are asked to calculate the percentage composition or percentage by mass of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. These are the 3 different elements present all together in the given sample, including alcohol and water. We do have only 3 elements, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. You have to calculate the total percentage of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in the given sample. So what will you do? What can be done? You have to do this problem in 2 different steps. How will you work it out, children? 30% of ethyl alcohol is given to you, isn't it? 30% of ethyl alcohol. So from this, you have to calculate the mass, or you have to calculate the percentage or total weight of carbon present in this compound. That means first, the first step, you have ethyl alcohol. Ethyl alcohol, calculate its relative molecular mass. What is its relative molecular mass? 12. Okay, I'm not calculating. Okay, because it's a homework given to you, isn't it? So first you have to calculate the relative molecular mass. Let it be X. X is the relative molecular mass of ethyl alcohol. Okay, now you have to calculate the percentage of carbon present in ethyl alcohol. Percentage of carbon present in ethyl alcohol. How many carbon atoms are there? 2 carbon atoms. So 12 into 2, 24, isn't it? So 24 divided by the total molecular mass of ethyl alcohol, that is X. Okay, you have to calculate and find into. What should be multiplied? What will be used there? Into how much? I want a response from you. Can you please tell me?
30 by 100.
Into 30 by 100? Do you have to go for 30 by 100?
30.
Into 30. 30 is enough. Yeah, the total molecular mass is X. Okay, now you are going to calculate the percentage of each and every element present in this percentage of the given compound. Have you followed? So the total percentage here we have to consider is just 30. Okay, for calculating the percentage of carbon in ethyl alcohol. So 2 into 24 into 24, not 24, it's 12. Okay, 1 atom of carbon is 12. Mass is 12. 12 into 2, that is 24, divided by X into what percentage? 30%, isn't it? So into 30. This will give you the mass or percentage of carbon present in ethyl, 30% of ethyl alcohol. Mass of carbon present in 30% of ethyl alcohol. Similarly, you have to find out the percentage or mass of hydrogen present in 30% of ethyl alcohol. So 6. How many hydrogen atoms? 6 hydrogen atoms. Isn't it, children? 6 into 1 is 6. 6 divided by molecular mass into 30. Followed? Again, oxygen divided by total molecular mass of ethyl alcohol into 30. So separately you have calculated the percentage of or the mass of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen present in 30% of ethyl alcohol. But the sample is not complete. The rest consists of water, isn't it? So what percentage of hydrogen, what percentage of oxygen are present in the 70% altogether? Okay, that also should be calculated separately. That means in a molecule of water, there are 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 atom of oxygen. You have total 70% of water. Okay, so in this total 70%, how many grams of or what mass of hydrogen will be present? 2 divided by 18 into, here, what should we multiply this with? We are calculating the mass of hydrogen in 70% of water, isn't it? So into 70. Okay, similarly 16, that is of oxygen. Okay, hydrogen in 70% of water is calculated like this. Oxygen in 70% of water is 16 divided by 18 into 70. Have you followed? Now what should be done? You have already calculated the mass of carbon present in 30% of ethyl alcohol. You don't have carbon anywhere else. So that is the only percentage or only mass of carbon in the whole sample. Have you followed? Now what about total mass of hydrogen in the entire sample? You have calculated separately mass of hydrogen in 30% of ethyl alcohol. Now you have calculated mass of hydrogen in 70% of water. You have to add them up. The same thing with oxygen also. Oxygen is present in both ethyl alcohol and water. You are calculating it separately, add them up. So that is how you will be able to find the percentage by mass of all the three different elements in the whole sample. Is it clear to everyone? Is this idea clear to everyone?
Yes, miss.
Is it clear to all of you? Yes. So separately, once when a sample is given, and if they say that 1% is this one, and another percentage, the remaining is something else, so you must be able to calculate it. The total makes up 100. Okay, they have here mentioned only about 30%, telling that rest being water. So you must be able to think in such a way that the rest is 70, and 70% is water. So separately, you have to calculate the percentage of each and every element, and then total mass of each and every element in the whole sample. To calculate that, add them up. I hope it is clear. So you have to work out this problem yourself without opening the textbook. Plus, homework, please do, please do write down the homework. One homework already I've given from page number 83. Okay, a few questions were given. One more. Page number 90. Page number 90. 90. Okay? Questions, page number 90. Questions 4, 5, and 6. Questions 4, 5, and 6. Got it? So these are the problems that you have to work out as homework. Do it today itself. Okay, soon after the class, have your lunch and then find time to do this. I'll send you the answers later. Got it? Okay, so I'm keeping fine. Some of them are asking about. Okay, so I'm happy. I'm keeping fine. So my dear children, you also be safe and be happy. Stay at home. Thank you. And on Wednesday we do have one more class. So I think we'll be able to cover up our portions by the time. So maybe 1 or 2 more classes we may need. So thank you. Have a great day.